Hello and welcome to the show. On Forza Horizon 4 there is a number of, I guess you could say, late game purchases to be working towards. Hell, there are 2 castles, and if you want both of them, that's going to run you 25 million, and there are a number of 10 million credit cars. The classics, Jaguar E-Type lightweight, Bugatti, the very, very old Bugatti, Ferraris, the 250 GTO, Testarossa, etc. They're all going to run you 10 million each. If you want all of these vehicles, that is going to cost you an awful lot of credits. And, well, they're not necessarily the easiest things to come by. Certainly not that amount, anyway. So what are the best ways to be making money? And this is going to be looking at non-cheating, non-exploit ways of doing that. This is looking at, if you actually want to try and earn them legitimately, shall we say, how can you go about earning the maximum amount of money for your time? We start with a fairly straightforward question, one that I was expecting I already knew the answer to, but it's worth investigating just to make sure, is how kind of money per lap works in these races. Now, in previous Forza games, whether it be Horizon or Motorsports, you will get, it's essentially money based on the distance. So you do one lap over a longer circuit, you earn more money than 1 lap over a shorter circuit. Otherwise, you just grind out find the smallest circuit, run the most number of laps, and there you go. Now, I was expecting that to be the case when it came to Horizon 4 as well, but thought I'd give it a quick try, just to be sure. Start with a 2-mile lap circuit that we've got here, with a 5-lap race. Takes us just under the 5-minute mark, and that would net us, I say, a decent amount of credits. That would get us some 44,700 credits. Not bad for 5 laps of work, and influence-wise, we get about 10,000 XP. In the order of fairness, because you can't really track, or there's no real sense of balance with the wheel spins, I'm not including them in terms of money made, because it will vary wildly. Sometimes you could win, 300,000, you could win an incredibly expensive car, or you could win clothes / an MX-5 / 3,000 credits. Very nearly got a Chiron in that one, but So for the sake of fairness, I'm not including wheel spin prizes in any of this. So 5 laps, same number of laps now as we move on to one of the smallest, in fact the smallest circuit in the game, the festival track. I'm using S2 class cars here because they are going to be you're going to cover the ground fastest, because, well, the cars are very, very quick. You're going to travel that 5 laps in a quicker time in these cars than in anything else, so you're going to be earning more money be saving time, essentially. I did use an Aventador. This is a Forza Edition car, however, it doesn't affect the money. This is only a skills boost effect on this particular one, so not affecting the money we earn. 5 laps around that circuit takes you less time than it does on the previous one. It's doing 32-second laps. However, you aren't covering as bigger a distance. It took only 3 minutes to complete that race, and, well, money-wise is not great. We earn well less than half the credits that we did, and it was definitely not half the time of the previous race. Influence-wise was actually about right for, I think, the time, but yeah, credit-wise did not earn all that much. So, as we've seen before, in Forza games, you want to be earning the most amount of money for your time. It's going to be all about average speed, because you want to be covering as much ground as you possibly can in as small a time as possible. So, would the Goliath race be a sensible way to go? Theoretically, yes. I mean, this does run around the outside of the map. It's a very, very long lap. You're looking at around the 9-minute mark. A little bit faster if you know the circuit better than I do, and of course it will depend on the car you are using. I've gone for an S2 class Reventon. Now, this is a Forza Edition Reventon, and I'm using this particular vehicle because its special ability, if you like, all the Forza Edition cars have them. This particular one's special ability is bonus credits. It's not a huge boost, no, but I figured I might as well. And at S2, it's pretty bloody fast as it is, so yeah, things like the Agera RS, you'll get around the lap faster. And if you're doing a long enough distance, it might actually eventually make up, extra distance, make up the credit boost. But for the sake of this comparison test, I was going to be using the Reventon. Now, I was setting these races to 3 laps long, because I was setting this race to 3 laps long because it's going to be how much I could make within half an hour. And 3 laps around here would come in at just under half an hour. I've also got the racing line on. I left it on by accident when I started filming this, and for the sake of fairness, I decided to keep it on for all of these runs because the difficulty, the assist level will affect the amount that you get paid out at the end of the race. I had it on from building circuits, and yeah, my stupid on that side. But anyway, the Goliath circuit, it's fast. You know, it goes around a lot of these more wide open roads on the outside of the map. That being said, while your average speed is going to be high, there are still technical bits. There are still parts where you're going to have to slow it down. There's a bit that actually weaves its way around the Ambleside village, and you saw through there. There are corners where you are not going to be doing 250 miles an hour. You're not going to be averaging quite the 250 mile an hour. You're probably averaging about 170 maybe around this circuit. Potentially a little bit less, but either way, it's going to be a high average speed, certainly, as we come up towards the finish line. So 3 laps would be just under the half-an-hour mark, and the Reventon would be finishing the race. So probably go a little bit faster, but we're working kind of averages here. So, car across the finish line, no major issues around that circuit. Money-wise is, as you would expect, you'll get a decent amount of money for doing that. You'll get a decent amount of money for going around that circuit. Just be careful, AI are not too shabby around there, depending on what they are running in and what you have got, so that you might have to put up a bit of a fight against them. And for the half an hour, we would make 342,000 credits, and we would get some 72,000 XP. There we go, which is enough for quite a few level ups. That's not a bad amount of money to have been making in all of that. And because there's a road race, you will also be leveling up not only your character, but you'll be leveling up the road racing, which once you get to level 20 will just continually give you wheel spins, which is quite nice. Here's the thing though, you see, the reason why I've held off doing this video for as long as I have is because I was waiting for the course creator, because I had an idea of how you could be making more money for your time without, and this is without exploiting anything, this is just clever track design essentially. As I said, average speed is all important with this sort of racing, so what about building a track designed to give you the highest average speed? The motorway is the place that makes sense to do this, because you can run up and down the motorway pretty much flat out the entire way. That's going to give you a damn high average speed. Now, it does get a little bit fiddly when it comes to the start-finish line, because you can't place the finish line here. You have to use one that already exists. And while there is a drag race start line, you can't create circuits using a drag race start line. You can't do anything in terms of creating from there. So you have got to use a start line that is slightly off the motorway, which means that the end of this track is a little bit fiddly to get the cars around. But the rest of it, you're running it flat out. You're running 240, 260 miles an hour. Again, the Reventon may not be the perfect car for this. There may be some other Forza editions that have better top speed that would work better, that also have credit boosts or have influence bonuses that you might want to choose, might want to use. There's an Alfa Romeo 8C is the other one I know has a credit boost. I don't know what things like the Maserati and some of the other cars, very fast cars that could do this. The idea is basically you kind of loop around the roundabouts. You know, there's no cheating, there's no shenanigans with the checkpoint. It's just a genuine sort of straight up race going around here, but you just spend a lot of time at full throttle. You spend a lot of time going flat out down here. Now, when I set this race up, I slightly miscalculated the number of laps that would take us to the half an hour mark. We were a little bit over on this one, running 9 laps around here. The circuit length is about, I think it's just over 11 miles down here, which takes you just under 3.5 minutes, again, with the Reventon. And as we come up to the final corner, as I said, it's a little bit of a wonky way. You've got to bounce across the grass slightly. I chose that rather than kind of going up the tarmac and turning around, because sometimes the checkpoints, the game gets angry if you're doing that, if you're like crossing over yourself. So by going across the grass, it technically never crosses over onto itself, so there's no risk of the checkpoints essentially getting voided when you are running around. Now, as I said, this did take slightly over half an hour, so the numbers that come up here are a teensy little bit skewed. It's 475,000 credits for about 32 minutes and 90,000 XP, and actually 100,000 XP pretty much. The advantage I have with this is I can actually set the race type, whether it wants to be a road race or whatever, and because I was quite low in terms of ranking on cross country, I stuck it to that just to level me up faster. Did a little bit of maths, calculated that race for 8 laps. 422,000 is the money we get, and 88,000 XP. You're earning 80,000 more credits on that race for the same amount of time that you would on the Goliath race. That's a pretty bloody big difference. That is a pretty bloody big difference indeed, and that is with the same car, same assists and everything going on. Everything absolutely identical with that. The same amount of time, that's just an extra 80,000 credits for your effort. And a bunch more XP as well. That might be enough for another wheel spin, and so on. There are a couple of other things as well that you can do to help with the, with the leveling up, etc. You can get there are various perks here that will give you more influence, if you like. Now, the Reventons isn't great because it's influence, I guess, for the next 10 road racing events. Actually, no, that should be affecting coming on there. So I thought that was the street racing events. It isn't. Sorry, that should work on this. Basically, you can get more influence, more XP per race. Now, XP is a little teensy bit more difficult to track in some ways as well, because skills that you do during the race will impact on the amount of XP you get at the end, the amount of influence you get at the end or throughout the race. Money-wise, I turned off the assist. I would recommend keeping Rewind on while you'll lose a few percent in terms of the difficulty bonus. It's probably worth it in case you stuff it up 25 minutes in. It's, you know, I mean, admittedly, Rewind maybe not as important, but certainly don't want to put damage on. I wouldn't recommend running it with simulation damage, because if you do stuff it up, your car will be completely broken, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So again, around the race this time, 8 laps, 28 minutes, pretty much identical in terms of time to the Goliath race, and with much of the assists off that I was thinking was a good idea, you get 100% difficulty bonus, which means 435,000. Talking getting on for 500,000 in 30 minutes. Now, the influence was not quite as big a gain with that perk on as before. I suspect possibly I didn't get as many skill points, if you like, while going through all of that. Also, cross-country might not be the best setting. It takes a lot of XP to level up the cross-country series. A lot more than it does to level up the road racing. I don't know whether it's just because the road racing is at the top of that. I've got to the 20 on that, and now it's less to keep going through. But either way, the cross-country does seem to take a long time, so if you were going for maximum amount of wheel spins, essentially in the hope of making money from those, I would perhaps recommend sticking this as a road race rather than cross-country. But it is a good way of making some sneaky extra level-ups. Now, one thing I couldn't finish without checking Rivals mode, something that's I'm not really that fussed about, not really that bothered about too much anymore, owing to the inability to run whatever car you want around whatever circuit and time it, as they are restricted to specific vehicles. But I wondered if there was any bonuses particularly for running through here. I know when it comes to multiplayer races, there is no difference to running that and a single player race. There's no extra bonuses, extra money for doing those. So I set around, did 5 laps around this, the circuit that we started off with in the Ultima. I used whatever car I was supposed to be using, by whatever class the game reckoned, SS1 Track Toys or something, BAC Mono, pretty damn quick car. Loading takes forever with the Rivals mode, I will say. I spent a good amount of time sat in a loading screen. You do get slightly more money. You got 44,000 for the 5-lap race. You've got 47,000 for the Rivals mode. You do get slightly more money for doing things in Rivals mode than you do in normal, and there is a separate Rivals mode XP thing that you can level up, and there'll be rewards for further down the line. So you might actually earn a little bit more money doing it in Rivals mode around the Goliath than anywhere else. There's another little sneaky trick that most people probably have heard of, but just in case you haven't, the Formula Drift cars and a number of other vehicles, or some other vehicles as well, have got a special perk where you can do these vehicle masteries, essentially. All the vehicles have got different sort of trees, if you like. Formula Drift cars have got an option that will give you 300,000 credits. So if you have all of the Formula Drift cars, all of them have this, you can get 300,000 credits from them, which is quite nice. Just a nice little extra cash injection from those cars. And the sort of state of these unlock trees is saved per car. So theoretically, you can go on the auction house, buy one, and if somebody hasn't gone through and unlocked it, you can then get another easy 300,000 credits. The Dodge Demon is another car that will get you 200,000, not quite as much as the Formula Drift cars, but definitely worth getting. Again, it's free 200,000 credits. And there may well be more cars. It's always worth checking to see what vehicles. You get free wheel spins from these as well, but it's always worth checking with your vehicles to see what cars might have it, and then, yeah, if you're feeling sneaky, have a look on the auction house. It may or may not work at the end of the day, but it is certainly worth a worth a look, shall we say. So as far as conclusions go to this, if you are wanting to be making money here, your best bet is actually with the motorway race. While the Goliath race will net you a decent amount of money, there are better options out there. There are considerably better options. I mean, we're talking almost a quarter more money. That's a sizable amount for your time by basically running up and down the motorway. If you want to have a go with my particular circuit that I built with that one, you can. If you follow me on Xbox, you should be able to download the track. It should be able to come under, if you could search for blueprints, if you search for friends and followed, it should appear up in there and you can have a go with that. It's pretty damn straightforward to make your own layout as well doing that, because it's literally just up and round the motorway. You cover as much distance as possible at the highest speed possible, and there we go. There are sneaky ways you can kind of exploit the course creator to make longer routes take shorter for the actual player to drive. They can be a bit fiddly to make because, well, the game tries to stop you from doing that sort of thing. And it is, well, kind of quite sneaky. There are kind of ways it can be done. Although, yeah, if you want to be doing things legit, that is a genuine, legitimate race that will run up and down the course. There's no sneaky, no cheatiness involved in any of that, if you like. So, yeah, you can earn about 500,000. You can earn about 500,000 credits in 30 minutes. Which, while it's not too bad, I will say the later game economy in Forza is, without some sneaky cheating, I mean, there's quite a lot of grinding to get any sort of money. It's, yeah, quite a bit grindy. If you're wanting a 10 million credit car, it's going to take you 10 hours. That's 10 hours of running up and down the motorway, which is not exciting. As I said, you will be getting extra money. It will actually, in practice, be less than that. And as far as you will be getting wheel spins, and you might even be lucky enough to win the car you want from that, there will be plenty of level ups, there will be plenty of wheel spins. But still, even assuming you get lots of good luck with those, that's quite a lot of time. That is quite a lot of time. And, I mean, there's not much better ways of getting money than that. So, yeah, I would perhaps like to see the economy tweaked a touch. Of course, you know, you don't want to be giving away cars for free. Forza 6 went the other way in terms of you had insane amounts of money and money was practically worthless. But yeah, it's a little. I think it's a little extreme on here. Perhaps wheel spins that once you got over a certain level didn't, you know, or gave much bigger prizes, make it a little bit more worthwhile, something like that. A little bit more like Forza 6 did, but to a slightly lesser extreme. There's a balance in there. There's a better balance in there. I think as it is, it's a little bit too grindy for later stuff. But, you know, there are ways to go. But sure, you still make money having fun playing around in multiplayer races and so on, but it's going to take a while. It is going to take a while to get the castles and perhaps to get some of the ultra rare expensive cars, and I mean quite a while to get some of those, especially if you want more than one of them. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.